My name is Nina Zhelev. I was born and raised in Bulgaria. I came to the States approximately 20 years ago, and it was actually the dream of my husband. We were married for 3 years, but he wanted to start our family in the States. And he told me, listen, our kids are going to be born in the United States. And I'm like, but how is that even possible? We don't have any prospects of moving there. So we started exploring options, and one thing that we did is we started working on a cruise ship. It wasn't the best option, but it was one step closer to the dreamland. So unfortunately, we soon realized that that's not the lifestyle that we wanted to have for our family, and we started exploring other options. We hired a lawyer, and they told us, one of the easiest ways to apply for a green card lottery, which, what are the chances that you will be picked? Very, very slim. The other way is through a work visa. And lucky for me, I was offered a position in the same company that I worked for in Europe. It was really something extraordinary for me, because I was offered not just any job, but the same exact position that I held before. It was really nice, and so we applied for work visa. Of course, you still have to go through a process. We applied for the work visa. We were rewarded the visa, and then a year later, we started the process for applying for a green card. The lawyers told us in the very beginning, listen guys, this will be very lengthy process, and it's going to be a rough road for you. So now you have to take a decision whether you want to do it or not. But we looked at each other's eyes and said, we have one strength, and that's staying together. As long as we stay together and support each other, we can move mountains. We can do that. And this is the path that we took. It took us 7 years before we got the green card approved. Time where my husband wasn't even allowed to work. In the very beginning, he wasn't even allowed to obtain a driver's license. We were a family of 4, 2 little babies, and I was working. My husband was taking care of the babies. And yeah, we couldn't even afford to send them to daycare. But anyhow, it's one of the things that you do, one of the sacrifices that you do following your dream.
Well, how does that make you feel watching what's happening at the southern border?
Well, I'm angry. I'm really very angry seeing that, because I don't think that that's fair to those law-abiding specialists that come here with high degree skills, willing to pay their taxes, willing to follow the legal path, and it's just not fair. It is. I feel like I've been robbed from something that I worked for very, very hard, and somebody else receives that as a reward. It's just not fair. I want to tell everybody that there are legal ways to immigration, and one of the reasons I liked living in the States since the very beginning is when I came first here, I saw wonderful people, happy people, and people that were abiding the law. There was law, there was order, and that meant a lot for me, for somebody that comes from a country that chaos was everyday agenda. I simply loved what I saw here. And I also think that this country has always been the country of big opportunities. They've always been here. I am a living proof for that. I was given those opportunities and I work hard to achieve what I achieved. So I truly believe that if you work hard and you follow your dreams and you follow the legal path, there is always success waiting for you up there, but you have to pay your price for it. I don't believe in free stuff. There is no such a thing like a free lunch, and nobody that comes to this country should expect that.
So tell us a little bit about growing up. You're from Bulgaria, right?
I'm from Bulgaria, yes. Bulgaria is a beautiful small country in the Balkan Peninsula. The majority of my youth I spent living in a socialist regime. I would not necessarily say that we were unhappy. No, we were okay. We were happy. We didn't know anything any better. But we were restricted in many ways. For example, I was 18 years old, just graduated high school, and there was election year. My mom and dad took me very proudly to the voting venue, and we walked in there, and because it was my first time voting, everybody was so excited. There was a photographer waiting for me there and took a picture with me dropping the vote. When I walked in there, my mom stood behind me and said, "This is the one that you have to take and put it over there." I'm like, wait a minute. Election means you have choices and you have to choose your favorite candidate. She said, "No, don't even say that out loud." I'm like, why? Because they can hear us. So I was told what to pick, where to put it, smile at the camera. We walked out and I was so upset. I started asking questions, and my mom and dad tried to calm me down and said, well, this is how we do it. So needless to say, and then later that evening in the news, we re-elected our prime minister back then, once again with over 90% voting activity. And you know, it's kind of funny seeing what's going on now in our country. A candidate that have been installed, not elected, installed, and everybody is told that they have to support fully that candidacy. It's just, I live it all over again. Another example from what it's like to live in socialist country. Once again, I was probably in high school, and there was this great album by Pink Floyd with the greatest song of Another Brick in the Wall. Guess what? It was banned. We were not supposed to listen to that. So what we did, somehow we got the vinyl and we were listening to the songs in the basement or the attics, away from public eyes and ears, because you could have gone to jail. You could have been prosecuted for listening that music. So you will understand, a couple of years ago when there was a concert of Roger Waters in Raleigh, I walked into the arena hearing that very familiar track. I started crying. I took my son with me. He looked at me and, "Mom, what's going on?" I couldn't even begin to explain to him what that means to me and what those emotions that swept me at that moment. It was a surreal moment. I couldn't believe that I see that with my own eyes, and it was magical. Again, I'll make a reference to things and processes that I see around us these days. I do not believe in cancel culture, and I believe that if you were told that you're not supposed to use that word but the other word, you're not supposed to read this book but the other book and things like that, it reminds me about the restrictions that we lived with. This is how socialism works. This is what it means. Yes, we were promised equality and all of that, but that's the other thing that I don't believe in. There is no equality in this world, and it shouldn't be. The human nature is competitive. We need competition so we can move forward. You kill the competition, you kill the progress. This is it. This is why back in the days, socialist countries didn't have advanced technology, we didn't have advanced education, medicine, etc., etc., because there was no competition. We were told that we were the same, we had the same responsibilities, and we were paid the same. So at one point, you start thinking, well, why should I push harder where I'm paid the same as my body there? So people start working less and less and take less responsibilities, just pretending.
So what are you seeing happening here in the U.S. that makes you really want President Trump to get elected? What are you seeing that is reminiscent of back home, and what are your feelings about President Trump?
Well, I have very strong feelings towards this man. I love President Trump. I love the person for a very long time, ways before he entered the politics. So it was maybe about 10 years ago or so, my husband and I were watching an interview with Mr. Trump, and he mentioned something about his family. The question was about his family and raising his kids, and he said, there are 4 things that are forbidden in my family: alcohol, smoking, drugs, and tattoos. And that struck me so deep. And maybe you will ask why. It's not that uncommon. Yes, it's not uncommon. But living behind the curtain, all we knew about the American people and American mentality was delivered to us through the Hollywood movies. That was the only American culture that we were allowed to interact with. And you may think that that's not the real representation. We knew that this is the country where the sex revolution was born. This is the country of violence, mass shooting. Everybody has pistol at their home, etc., etc. Carter and Reagan were the most hated men back then. They were the war creators. They didn't want peace. We were the only ones that want to establish peace in the world, etc., etc. And, you know, all successful people were doomed like the bad ones. So I see Donald Trump there, and I watch and hear the words he speaks. I'm like, wait a minute, this speaks very high moral values. And from that point, I developed really high respect towards the man, the father, the husband, Donald Trump. Another point is that you cannot walk Manhattan streets and not admire everything that this man has built. You just feel his presence everywhere. And then when he entered the politics, I started liking him even better, because he was the one that doesn't sugarcoat anything. And this is a quality that I like in people a lot. I myself am very much like that. He says the things with their names. He calls it what it is. And he's not afraid to speak his mind. Something that you don't see very often in politics. I do have a strong belief that politicians have to be wealthy people, because they are not greedy, supposedly. Greedy people are not good politicians, and we can see it. It was really shocking to me when I first came to the States, and to find out that American people are so religious. That was a real shock to me, because, you know, we didn't have I personally did not have high expectations for that matter, simply because my opinion was based on the Hollywood movies. And seeing how devoted those people to their church is, it was really, really surprising to me. And I think that President Trump supports those family values, which are extremely important at least in my book. And I simply cannot not support a person like that. And I think that he's the only politician in the world that still has common sense and makes sense with everything that he implements and does. Everything that he does through his presidency, we all know about his achievements, and we want America to be great again. We want to restore the respect that unfortunately right now is lost, because America has always been symbol of power, prosperity, opportunity, and a land where everybody has their rights and they are guaranteed. Now we're not so sure about our rights. I've always wanted to become American citizen because I knew how American government protects their citizens. And we've seen these times and times over the years, but unfortunately what we saw now, that's not the case anymore. We had a hostage in Russia that we did not negotiate to bring home. Why? Because we preferred to bring home a felon, a drug felon. And that was really disturbing, to say the least. And I know for sure that President Trump wouldn't have done it that way, ever. I worked really, really hard through the process of becoming American citizen. It was long, hard process. We did sacrifice quite a lot. It cost us not just a lot of money, but a lot of time and a lot of, can't think of the word, but it cost us a lot. So when I finally got my citizen certificate, it was the pivotal moment of that process, and also it was held as part of the 4th of July celebration in small city on the coast. It was really spectacular, and so it was a great and warm celebration. I would never forget that moment when we walked out the lawn and all the people that were sitting around there started cheering us and greeting us with "Welcome home, welcome home," and they meant it. It was, at that moment I felt like, yes, I am coming home, and this is my home now, and I love it because I wanted it so much, and I did everything to achieve that. You know, a lot of people are coming here winning a green card lottery, diversity program lottery. These are lucky guys. I'm happy for them, but that's an easy win. For me, it was hard work and achievement. This is how I look at the results today. This is something that we achieved. The only thing that I feel sorry about and I regret is that my husband didn't live to see that day. We lost him a year and a half ago, but I know that he's watching over me, and I want to make him proud, and that's why I'm here today, and that's why I want to contribute with everything in my power to help this country and move forward. Speaking about how other people get their path to US, I don't think that it's fair, because there might be people in need, indeed, but they're not rejected. There is a legal path for everybody, for every case. There are different types of immigration and different ways of becoming, just entering the country, living here, and become eventually a U.S. Citizen. But if you don't love the country, if you come here illegally, that's the first step, breaking the law. How can you tell me that today you broke the law, but tomorrow you will become a lawful citizen, a lawful member of our society? There is no guarantee. I don't believe in that, and I also don't think that it's fair to the American people to be robbed of their benefits only to be given to people that we don't even know who they are. I see more and more people supporting President Trump lately, and it's a bigger wave than in 2020. Although even back then I couldn't believe how things happen, but now that we don't know. I go every year to Europe, and unfortunately the mainstream media there projects the same lies that the mainstream media projects here. And people don't really know who Donald Trump is. A couple of years ago they were like, oh, he's a clown, he's this, and I'm like, what do you know about him? Oh, he's bad. Why? Because Orange Man. Bad. You know, no arguments. And lately, that started last year and this summer, more and more people start to realize that actually he's not the bad man. He's the only reasonable choice for not America but the world. The whole world relies on President Trump, the entire world. And we can see that in countries happening now in Europe. See England, we saw that happening in Italy, and now Germany. That wave of conservative movement is already there, and it's hard to stop it. There is no natural way to stop that because that's organically born movement. And I truly believe in the power of it. The only way to stop that is artificial. And I'm really, really afraid to my bones that something like that can happen again, because those people have no morals. They don't follow any logics and steps, and they are willing to do anything to disgrace the man and everybody that supports him. But you know, I do have hopes, because hope is everything that we have now, and also the power of staying vigilant, educate other people about the real situation, go out and vote and protect our vote. So go vote, America. We will win.